Hello everyone, I'm David Ballentine, and today I will be discussing a case study on performance metrics in agile scrum environments. Before I dive into the technical stuff, I want to tell you a bit about myself. Distance learning is difficult, but this way you can at least know who I am. So I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and I am pursuing my master's in engineering management. I work as a mechanical engineer at Northrop Grumman. I used to work at NASA. I primarily work with software systems, and I currently focus on system safety and hazard analysis. In my free time, I love to bake, I do a lot of photography, run, I love to go to the theme parks. Typical Floridian. So let's get to it. As I said, today I will be discussing a case study on global software development, key performance measures of team in a Scrum-based agile environment. Bear with me on quotes and figures. The authors of this paper were not native English speakers, so it can be a little rough sometimes, but better than I could do in a foreign language. To get started, I first want to explain the core topic a bit. This study is based on agile software development. Agile is a relatively new method of project management. It is based on the concept of iterative design, in which iterations are called sprints. A sprint is typically 2 weeks to 2 months long. Sprints are then broken down into tasks that are distributed amongst team members. This study focuses particularly on Scrum-based agile development. Scrum Agile is a team-based version of Agile where there are daily meetings to discuss progress, roadblocks, and plans. It's centered around communication and teamwork. Now, Agile works really well overall, but as most methods do, it has its problems. In Agile, it is particularly difficult to track project progress, to quantify expected effort, and to quantify expended effort, to predict the difficulty of a task, and to predict how much time is needed to address defects, and more. Now, when I worked at NASA, we used Agile methodology. And in my personal experience, we constantly struggled to quantify expected and performed effort. Management tried to quantify it as GCUs, general complexity units, but no one really knew what a GCU was. Did it define hours worked? Was it the number of lines of code written? No one could really define it, and as a result, burn rates were subjective and management data was highly inaccurate. This case study suggests defining 4 key performance indexes, KPIs, to measure and track team and team member performance. The KPIs include escaped defects, team member velocity, deliverables, and effort. And these are there to answer the questions: how many defects escape in a sprint? Are the committed tasks completed in a sprint? Is the product delivered on time? And how much effort is put into fixing bugs compared to initial development? This case study focuses on these performance metrics and asking the question, could these KPIs be used to more easily track progress, effort, and issues in agile-based development? The method of research for this study was a survey that was used to collect data for analysis. The researchers requested the participation of 10 teams from various global software development programs, 9 of which agreed to participate. The team members from each group were asked to answer the following questions with a numerical value. How many defects do you anticipate in your committed task in a sprint or iteration? How many defects will be anticipated by all members in a sprint? How many tasks will you commit to in a sprint? How many tasks will you complete in a sprint? How many hours do you spend to complete a task in each sprint? What is the planned cycle duration for a sprint? And how many extra hours do you work to fix bugs that you created? So the team members were asked to answer these questions with a numerical value. The necessary KPIs were then calculated from the survey responses using the following equations. Escaped defects was defined as the number of escaped defects of a team member in a sprint over the total number of escaped defects in a sprint. Team member velocity was defined as the number of tasks completed in a sprint over the total number of committed tasks in a sprint. Deliverables was defined as the total number of hours spent to complete tasks in a sprint over the total planned cycle duration in a sprint. And the effort was defined as the number of extra hours worked to fix bugs over the total hours spent to complete tasks in a sprint plus the number of extra hours worked to fix them. Sorry. Here is the calculated data made from the survey responses and normalized using the previous mathematical equations. Give you a second to look at it. From here, you can see that teams SP2 and SP7 had much lower overall performance, with most of their values significantly below average. Average is at the bottom, you see it. And overall, team SP9 was the best performer. So the data was further analyzed and normalized to give us this table. From here, the researchers were able to easily compare individual team and team member performance. As previously stated, it was found that teams 2 and 7 performed the worst, and team 9 performed the best. This is valuable information that can now be objectively proven, and the data can be shared with management of those teams. More importantly, though, is that the data was proven useful, and the chosen performance metrics provided a valuable, useful, helpful information. This case study ultimately showed that the researchers were able to identify some key performance indicators within the agile development process. They identified escaped defects in a sprint, defined as the number of defects per team member over total number of defects. Team member velocity as number of tasks completed over the total number of tasks committed. Deliverables as the time spent to complete tasks over the total planned sprint hours, and effort as the number of extra hours spent debugging over total hours worked. These defined metrics can now be used to track team progress and compare team performance in agile environments. The research team relayed this information to the companies so that they can now address issues revealed by these performance metrics. Despite these useful metrics, I personally believe that measuring predicted and expended effort is still extremely difficult, and it is a topic that warrants further study. Thank you all for tuning in. It was a pleasure, and I will see you all for my next case study in 2 weeks. And here is my source. That's it. Thanks.